you got here? Today I'm going to bring you an interesting one. We're going to do 357 SIG versus 40 Smith and Wesson. What are the differences of these two cartridges? So let's start by taking a close look at them. And on the left side of your screen, you're going to see that's the 40 Smith and Wesson case. And that is a 357 SIG case. And the only difference between these is this is a 40 caliber, 0.4 of an inch, and that is 0.355 of an inch, or 357 SIG. So they just neck down the 40 caliber case to fit a smaller projectile. So you're shooting a smaller projectile, but it is coming out at higher velocities. And as you can see, the cases are both the same right there. And the interesting thing is they both fit in the same magazines. These are both, let's see if you can read these things. These are both magazines from my Smith and Wesson M&P 40 right there. And as you can see, they say both 40 Smith and Wesson and 357. So the nice thing about these rounds and the pistols that they are chambered in, this is my 40 Smith and Wesson right there, is that with just a simple barrel swap, you can shoot both cartridges out of the same pistol. So that's always kind of neat. Start with Glock. So one of the most popular Glock models is a Glock 22 and a Glock 23. And off the top of my head, you have a Glock, I think it's a 32 and a 34 maybe, that are the 40 caliber and the 357 SIG, variances of it. And the only difference between those guns is going to be the barrel. Same thing with these M&Ps. You can get a 357, from the factory, and the only difference is the barrel. I'm going to prove that in a second. We're going to just swap out the barrel of this pistol, and you'll see it'll shoot both rounds equally well, and it doesn't care what's in there, and it's quite. So the big idea between these, the 40 Smith and Wesson, and why they necked it down for 357 SIG is, 357 Magnum is a very popular cartridge, and people love the ballistics of 357 Mag, especially with a 125 grain, jacketed hollow point bullet in it. That is considered the ultimate man stopper. The only problem is it's, there's a lot of recoil, and it doesn't really fit well in a semi-automatic pistol that you really want to shoot that out of a revolver. So how can you get that performance out of a pistol, in a compact pistol? 357 SIG was the answer. So with a 125 grain bullet, this is made to mimic the performances of a 357 mag. If you put a heavier bullet in here, get up to 58s, 147s, those kind of weights, your velocities are going to start dropping because you don't have enough case capacity in the 357 SIG to keep up with the case capacity and the velocities of a 357 Magnum. So it's really, you're only going to get close to 357 mag ballistics with a 125 grain or less bullet in the 357 SIG cartridge. For all you hand loaders out there, and I'm one of them, and I have 357 mag hand loading videos on my channel, take a look at them. You can beat 357 SIG with hand loads at a 357 Magnum. It's not that hard, but it is still a good choice. And I have done some research on this, and the police departments in the United States do use 357 SIG with jacketed hollow points, and they swear by them. Some of your big advantages of this cartridge is, since it is bottlenecked right here, you're going to have superior feeding and reliability with that cartridge, because since the bullet itself is the first thing to enter into the chamber is going to be bigger to fit a 40 caliber diameter case, and so the bullet will just find its way in there easier, and it's going to definitely feed. Not saying 40 doesn't feed properly and correctly in reliable and quality handguns, but 357 SIG will just probably give you that extra margin of reliability that some people are looking for, because it's a bottleneck cartridge, and bottleneck cartridges do feed excellently. The other thing is you're going to have higher velocities. You'll have higher penetration power with the 357 SIG because the bullet is moving quickly. I don't remember some of the velocities off the top of my head, but they're going to be cooking around, probably, I'm going to guess 1,350 feet per second. It's basically, the other way you can look at it is a pumped up 9mm. They're going to use the same projectiles, so they're just going to come faster than a 9mm. So if you're looking at a 9mm, around 1,150 feet per second, you can put that same projectile into a 357 SIG, and you're going to probably get up to 1,350 feet per second, or maybe even 1,400 if you load them hot. Also, 357 SIG is able to be loaded by hand. It is more difficult because it's a bottleneck cartridge, but the hand loaders, you can load them by hand. And if you're an accomplished hand loader, you can get good rounds that way. If there's anything wrong with 40 Smith and Wesson, but you know, you're going to get a little more velocity out of 357 SIG, maybe even a little more muzzle energy with average ammunition. I know a lot of the average Winchester white box, which I'm shooting today, usually I'm getting an extra 30 to 50 pounds per energy per round with 357 SIG. It just seems to be a little happier with this configuration than with like 165 grain 40 compared to the 125 357. But that's just my 2 cents, and you're welcome to post comments below. But seem just a little more energy, pounds per foot of energy at the muzzle. So you'll get definitely improved penetration. You're definitely get it, you know, improved trajectory. It's going to fly straighter and flatter, but you know, you're not shooting as big of a bullet. So let's talk about the one big drawback. Besides reloading them will be a little difficult, but my one big drawback with 357 SIG that really annoys me is the price. A box of Winchester white box is at least $35 or $40. It's basically double the price of 40 Smith and Wesson, which really stinks because I like it and I prefer it a little more than the 40 because I think it just has maybe a touch less recoil. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, they feel pretty close to the same, but I like the idea of 357 SIG. So, but that is the problem, is the price of them is expensive. I mean, you can get defensive rounds for about the same. If you get the SIG, the new SIG defensive rounds, or Hornady Critical Defense, or other ones, you'll pay the same price for 40 as you do 357 SIG, but for bulk ammo for the 50 packs, 100 packs, you're gonna pay double the price for 357 SIG. So I've got my Smith and Wesson M&P 40 right here. Let's just see what's in here. Right there we got 40 Smith and Wesson. You can see the top of the chamber, that is 40 Smith and Wesson right there. So let's go ahead and shoot a couple rounds at this target and see how we do here. So you can see I had one flyer there, but that's a pretty tight group right there. We're happy with that. So I'm going to do this barrel swap on camera right here and try to do the best job I can. So you can see right now we're set up for 40, and all we're going to do is swap the barrels, and we're going to go ahead and shoot this puppy right there. So first thing we're going to do, make sure we're empty. We're empty. We'll rack the slide, pull our takedown lever. We're going to dry fire it. The slide comes off. We will put the polymer part of the gun in my pocket. So we got our standard slide, our recoil spring. We're going to take that recoil spring off, get our new barrel out. We're going to take out the 40 barrel, put in the 357 barrel, put our recoil spring back in, mount it on top our pistol, takedown lever, dry fire it once, dry fire it again, we're good. So now let's take a look at what we have. We have converted it to 357. Alright, so now we've got our Smith & Wesson M&P 357 right here. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look. 357. 357s. Let's go ahead and take a couple shots with this and see how this puppy runs. So 357. 357. So you can see that feed's nice. Yeah, I haven't shot 357 SIG out of this pistol for over a year, but it's definitely a little warmer than that 40. A little definitely snappier, but it's got some punch and it gets to that steel target in a hurry. So folks, I want to thank you for watching this video today of the Smith & Wesson M&P 357 right there. And you know, what a great caliber conversion right there. You know, just a simple barrel swap. And you know, you've got a really good gun here. and that's definitely pretty cool stuff. And you know, I appreciate you guys watching. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, you know, post them below. Any comments, post them below. But yeah, it's definitely a thumper. You know, we've got a little more power here with that 357, and I definitely forgot that. And but you could definitely feel that recoil difference. But definitely good stuff. And thanks for watching, folks.